Another thing that we see a lot of is contractors will call us and ask us for advice on these things. I had one today where it was a flat roof. The gentleman calls me up, a friend of mine. He's like, hey, how much of your training do you remember from school? He's asking me. I was like, well, the stuff he's asking isn't even in roofing school, but this roof has a whole bunch of gooseneck vents and they're using them as exhaust. But whoever put them on, they faced them all the same direction. So now they get all this ice built up on this flat roof. And the question is, well, why is that happening? They've got all these vents here. The wind is blowing over and it's treating every single one of those vents the same. They're all being treated as either an intake or an exhaust. My advice was take and rotate half the vents 90 to 180 degrees from the other. That way half are getting air in and half are pushing air out. And that is just like, well, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. Like not knowing the why, how this stuff actually works. At least he had the common sense to call and ask somebody, right? So, we can work into something like that. What separates us from other people? Why is a Master Elite designation so important? I think we've talked about this, but we can't talk about it enough, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just a piece of paper. It's not just a designation we've taken and filled out the forms, like the training and all the backgrounds that go into it and the way we look at problems versus the way most people look at it. Most people are just going to come by and say, oh yeah, we'll put another layer of shingles on there. Whereas we're going to look at it and say, that's going to cause all these problems and maybe you don't want them, right?
Fun fact, Alberta Skylights Elite Roofing, Ryan Harbison, he is actually a Red Seal Journeyman roofer.
Yeah.
That is about as rare as a purple unicorn.
In the steep slope world, it is, yeah. In the flat roofing world, there's a lot of journeymans. It's a very common thing for flat roofers to go through that. It's not so common for steep slope guys to go through it.
Yeah, exactly. And 9 times out of 10, the roofer that comes to your home, whether you're in Edmonton or Sherwood Park, they're not going to have their Red Seal Journeyman certification. And they're not going to have their GAF roofing
Master Elite status
either. So with that, tell us, why should people care?
Well, you hit on a good point there. A lot of the times, the people that come to your house to sell you the roof are not the people who are going to be installing it. And I would also venture a guess that a lot of the times, the people that are selling you the roof have never installed a roof to begin with. They're salespeople. They're there to get you to sign off on their product. So when that person comes through, he might have a cursory understanding of how this stuff goes together. He might be taking a look at this and saying, oh yeah, well, the matrix shows that you should have an extra vent or two. But they don't understand how that ventilation is actually going to work. They don't understand how having a second layer of shingles on your old one is going to reduce your life. They don't really understand a lot of the finer details of how that goes. Part of my Red Seal training, we had to learn all about waterproofing, which would be more of the flat roofing style, as well as water shedding, which is the steep slope. But the ventilation, the building sciences, all of the other things that go into it, they all play a factor of it. You can't just take one without the other. Being a part of the GAF Master Elite program, we are in training multiple times a year from not only GAF, from all sorts of other manufacturers, ventilation manufacturers, insulation manufacturers, shinglers, the whole gambit. So our team is constantly evolving our knowledge and taking a look at what's happening. We're looking at the results, not just so much the theory. This manufacturer says you should put a vent on. This one tells you why that vent needs to be there. It seems simple, but you'd be surprised at how often we get calls from our friendly competitors asking about technical questions, technical situations, and, they're really good companies. They just don't have that depth of knowledge, right?
Yeah, we were having a conversation this morning in one of my meetings, and it was about the people that are going to survive and thrive and grow their businesses are going to be the people who are continually learning, growing, becoming masters of their craft, right? Becoming true masters and not just hobbyists, right? There's a lot of hobbyists out there, people who did shingling one summer and they decided they're going to open a roofing company. And you see that all the time.
Absolutely. In our industry, we're seeing a lot of private equity coming and taking and gobbling up, smaller, mid-sized companies and trying to build one giant company so they can once again flip that. A lot of companies know that private equity is looking to buy them. So their goal is to let's get as much volume through as we can so we can bump up our EBITDA and flip it out, right? So these people aren't necessarily concerned about the warranties. They don't plan on being in business long enough. And I'm not talking about a lot of our competition. It's just a business strategy that's out there, right? People are flipping into private equity. We've seen that go through HVAC. We've seen that go through all sorts of other industries. Right now, it's attacking the Edmonton market in roofing. There's a lot of private equity trying to gobble up stuff here in Edmonton. Everything's getting consolidated. When you have a company whose only goal is to be big, their method of managing is let's just wait for the callbacks. Let's wait for the problems to come up. You know, I was joking with you earlier today. We've had 5 days of rain and I just feel so lonely sitting there. Why isn't my phone ringing? All these skylights always leak. We haven't had a single leak call, right? In years we've been doing this and rains and just nobody's calling. None of our customers want to talk to us. No problems.
It's almost like you know what you're doing.
Seems like it, you know. Velux is a really, really good company. Velux Skylight Manufacturer, they put us through training on a regular basis as well. They've actually just came out with a Pro Partner Plan is what they're calling it. And it's a van and they're driving from city to city to go through and train people. They've got this van. They'll bring it right to your shop and they'll train you and your installers how to do this product properly. Do you think they can get people who want to sign up for it? We're too busy. We don't have time for that. No issues. Handful of years ago when I first got into the skylight realm, there was a gentleman, his name was Riley Brown. Riley, if you're watching, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Hands down, the best sales rep I've ever had. He was the Velux rep, and he convinced us that we should be looking at skylights more. I was in roofing quite a bit, and I don't want to deal with the skylights, and oh no, they're a headache. I didn't want to deal with them, but he convinced me. They always leak, right? He convinced me that we should take and do this. So I told him, well, let's have some training. And I had been drinking. We were over some beers and I told him, oh, whatever, you get a training day booked, I'll get it full of people. So it was like a week later, he's like, oh, okay, well, we got the dates booked. I'm like, date for what? He said, well, for this training you said you were going to get us at, right? Oh, crap, now I got to go figure out where this training is. So we did it at the Edmonton Construction Association, great group of people over there. We hosted for 2 days. We had 45 different roofing contractors. I was part of the Alberta Allied Roofing Association, so it was easy for me to get access to a lot of roofing contractors. We had 2 days full of training with different roofing contractors. As you go through all this training, and when you're done, the process was you had to prove that you've installed some of these products. Literally, take a picture of your work and send it in for review. We were the only company that did it. So like 45 people went through there for that training. We're the only ones who would actually send the pictures in to get certified with Velux. Like, that's the state of our industry. All these people went through the training. Nobody would take a picture. What do you do, right?
Yeah. And that's the reason why you do what you do. And that's why you are the go-to experts in our region regarding skylights.
I'm investing in your home through my own education on a regular basis. When I come to your house, it's not just, sure, it's a piece of paper that says I've got a red seal on there. That paper doesn't tell me what I know, but it goes a long way. It's not just something I take lightly. I'm very proud of the fact that I went through that program. I took my first year of trade in 2001 is when I did my first year of trade, and I didn't finish it until, I think, 2018. I went like 15 years where I didn't touch it. And I was like, well, if I want to make my industry better, I'm going to have to lead by example. So I went to go and get my ticket after that. Whenever I went to NATE, they didn't want to let me in the program. They said, no, you've got way too many hours. You should just challenge your exam. And I said, no, I want to actually go through the program and do it. It took a lot longer, took a couple of years, but it was worth it. Even after all of that experience, the instructors at the NATE roofing program, I learned a lot from them. Frank, he was a great teacher in there, and Scott and Cody, there was some really, really good people. Taught us a lot of things in that program. If you're even remotely interested in being in this trade for the long term, look into it, man. They'll take you in. The things you'll learn through there, you just go, how many times have I done that wrong, right? You don't even know why. So even after 15 years, I learned a lot of stuff in there. It is a good program.
There you go. Well, there you have it, guys. We've talked with Ryan, and he shared with us, the reasons why Alberta Skylights Elite Roofing is the right choice for you. Look to him for his knowledge, expertise, and the care that goes into it. The best callback is a happy customer.
That's right. Yeah.
best callback is a happy customer that says, hey man, thank you so much for installing that for us. Before we had so many problems with our roof or with our skylight, and now those problems are gone. So thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to hearing from you guys.